Hello, and welcome to day 2 of DITA World. I hope everyone made it through day 1. I did with coffee. I enjoyed the presentation from Marco at BlackBerry. His implementation of AEM guides is a little bit farther along than ours is, so I'm always interested to see what he and his team are up to. Marco has also patiently answered my questions when I didn't quite understand something. He is a credit to the community of AEM guides users. So welcome to Digital and Beyond, digital transformation of Zebra's content through DITA. My name is Huntley Eshenroder, and I'm a senior technical writer in the technical content management team. I also serve as the project lead for our implementation of AEM guides at Zebra.
Hi, my name's Michelle Mamistvalov, and I'm also a senior technical writer with Zebra Technologies. I've been with Zebra for about 7 years now. In addition to writing documentation, I'm also our team's internal content conversion specialist. I also handle all of the DITA development. In my spare time, I dabble in computer programming. Most recently, I've been learning C++ with some help from my brother, who's a game developer. And now for a brief introduction about Zebra Technologies.
One moment, one action, one decision is all it takes to unleash powerful waves of transformation, impacting teams, businesses, communities, and lives. What if you could enable this effect and meet the demands of immediacy and operational excellence across your organization? The benefits would be exponential, resulting in a dynamic force that touches and transforms everything. Activating this force requires gaining greater visibility into all aspects of your operations and elevating every team and frontline worker to their absolute highest potential. Enhancing experiences, exceeding expectations, fueling pride and fulfillment, igniting remarkable growth. Freeing them from silos and inefficiencies so that they can focus on what's most important and move towards higher, more meaningful contributions. Connecting them to each other and to the right data to guide smarter decisions as the moment unfolds. Allowing them to work intuitively with and alongside machines more intelligently and effortlessly than ever before. Because when you and your teams are fully enabled and empowered to do your best work, this force not only boosts individual success and drives better experiences for those you serve, it also travels all the way back to strengthen the core of your organization, creating an unstoppable momentum, a competitive advantage that keeps going and doesn't let up, allowing you to capture your performance edge only with Zebra.
The technical content management team at Zebra includes 25 people in 5 countries. Our team includes technical writers, videographers, and illustrators who support a range of products, including data capture solutions, mobile computing, data platforms, software, specialty printing, think shipping labels from a major online retailer, location solutions, services, and supplies. A little bit of the background of why we chose DITA and AEM guides. We decided to move to DITA to improve the customer experience with our technical content. Prior to our transition to DITA, we created our documentation in unstructured FrameMaker and published a PDF. Not very exciting or necessarily user-friendly. By moving to DITA, we can write our documentation in a structured format and produce HTML and PDF. We also realized that we could increase our content reuse and reduce maintenance with the move to DITA. Several writers within Zebra used conditions and text incents to reuse content, but it was becoming increasingly complex and error-prone. You'll see an example soon. We chose AEM guides after a successful POC with Adobe. AEM Guides was a logical choice because Zebra.com, Zebra's website, uses AEM. That means we have an in-house team of AEM expertise for supporting AEM Guides.
Speaking of improving the customer experience, here you can see how the same content looks on a mobile device in HTML on the left here versus a PDF on the right. The HTML is much easier to read and presents a cleaner customer experience. I think it's important our content looks good on mobile since one of our biggest businesses is mobile computers. The web browser version also looks pretty good. As you can see from one of our published guides, our customers can still get the PDF if they're interested, but the web-based content is really what's in fashion now.
After we decided to use AEM Guides as our DITA CMS, we developed a strategy for our implementation. One part of this strategy was to have a small team of writers prepare for the transition to DITA. Two primary activities of this team were content conversion and writer training. Conversion was extremely important because all of our content was unstructured and stored on a file system. We decided on the following strategy. New product documentation would start in DITA. This made sense because it would spare us from converting it in the future, and new products were likely to have a longer lifespan. Second, documentation for products that are under active development and continually updating. These documents should be in DITA as well. And finally, end-of-life or near end-of-life product documentation would not be converted and remain in its unstructured format. Writer training, the second activity for this team, was important because a majority of our writers did not have DITA experience or write in a structured manner. Another key point that this team performed was building relationships with key stakeholders. The marketing team owns AEM, and we needed their approval and support to use AEM as our content repository and our DITA authoring tool. The Web IT team supports AEM and develops new teachers, both for the marketing team and for us. They are our primary internal support for resolving issues and customizing AEM guides. The DevOps team supports our AEM infrastructure. We're an on-prem user of AEM. When we add writers to the AEM user base, we need to increase the performance of AEM to make a seamless experience. And finally, the support team that manages the support pages on Zebra.com, where our documentation is hosted. Our move from PDF to HTML required modification of the support pages, and we had to make sure that the support team was on board with these changes.
Once we were ready to start authoring, we began by converting some existing content. Since we were doing the conversions mainly in-house, we automated the conversion process as much as possible by using the FreeMaker plugin FM to DITA by Leximation. Shout out to Scott. So far, we have converted over 2,500 pages from unstructured FreeMaker. I need to note here that a huge amount of cleanup is required when converting unstructured content. For that reason, for smaller documents, it's much faster to actually just copy and paste content into AEM. A large conversion project that we didn't have the time for in-house is in process right now by Publishing Smarter. Thanks, Bernard. When we were deciding what content to convert and when to just start with new content, as Huntley mentioned previously, we decided that only current and new product content would be converted. We are leaving anything end-of-life or near end-of-life in the old unstructured format. An example of one large set of content that we converted was the mobile computer documentation. The original FrameMaker files served 16 products, with several writers maintaining it. The FrameMaker conditions got, frankly, out of hand, and we had to restrict it to only 2 writers to prevent formatting errors. Plus, after moving to DITA, the content began serving 22 or more products. By now, it is definitely more than 22. So, once we got the content in AEM, we decided to use conrefs instead of conditions. And we had a few reasons for this. We could create warehouse topics. With warehouse topics in place, writers now create product-specific topics and pull in only the content they need. The source content is maintained by a few writers, and product guides could be developed by any number of writers. Another reason we went with conrefs was the AEM guides review workflow. Currently, there is no way to filter review content by conditions. Our subject matter experts only want to review content for a specific product. So, with conrefs and product-specific topics, they only get the content for the one product that they are interested in.
The second major effort by our implementation team was training. And for training, we decided on three approaches. First, to ask the writers to take the DITA Basics online course provided by Scriptorium. Thanks, Sarah. On Scriptorium, DITA Basics provides a well-organized introduction to DITA, and it was free. Second, we provided in-house, hands-on training with sample content, so writers could become familiar with DITA and the AEM Guides web interface. And finally, we have an ongoing DITA user group that meets every 2 weeks to reinforce standards, provide best practices, and introduce more advanced topics. Previous topics we've talked about have included the translation, baselines, working with tables, publishing to HTML, and versioning, all important concepts for DITA and AEM guides.
Hey Huntley, what's next?
Good. I'm glad you asked me, Michelle. Now that we are more comfortable with AEM guides and we have more and more content being converted into DITA, we're looking ahead to see how we can continue to evolve our digital strategy. We want to increase the adoption of AEM guides outside of technical content management. And towards that, we just recently completed training writers from another group that came into Zebra through an acquisition. I'm sure they're ready for it. We also want to support more output formats that can support these teams that might need a more flexible output format. One such example is HTML5. And we are also finding ways to repurpose and reuse our DITA content. Michelle is going to show you several projects she is working in that demonstrate the flexibility of our DITA and XML content.
One interesting project that we have been working on is repurposing content. Now that our content is XML, other teams within Zebra can potentially leverage it. One software team that is currently working with us right now is the team that created the 123scan app. This Windows app configures Zebra scanners and currently doesn't have any embedded help. The app asks users to look to the product reference guide for details about options. However, with some minor modifications to the DITA content, such as adding some conditions and variables, the 123scan app turns the XML data into HTML that displays as pop-up help. Here you can see an example where the topic title and the short description are used in this pop-up. This happens to be a very short topic, but if it had more content, it would all show here.
Another example is incorporating videos into our content. Our videographer team produces great videos to help customers. These how-to videos appear on the Zebra.com product support pages. We would like to integrate these videos into our technical documentation. Integrating these videos with our technical documentation gives customers a choice in how they interact and consume information. Step-by-step instructions in the PDF, videos in the HTML, or both. Here is an example where a set of topics are used for our PDF and HTML output. Customers can choose HTML while they are treated to a video. Below the video is a link to the corresponding section of the PDF manual that provides step-by-step instructions. This is the unstructured guide that is currently getting converted to DITA. Here is an example of a PDF from that DITA that links to the videos shown in the HTML. When the DITA is published to HTML, the videos and step-by-step instruction will be accessible from the same topic, providing a superior customer experience.
Another interesting project that we're currently working on involves reuse to the max. This project is currently in development that is moving our regulatory documentation to DITA. And I've never been so excited about regulatory content before. It's interesting because Zebra uses the same legally required regulatory content for every single hardware product in Zebra. And that's a lot of Zebra hardware products. All of the regulatory guides use a portion of a small set of content. Most differences within the content were handled in unstructured FrameMaker using variables. Basically, this means that the content is highly reusable. For moving the content to DITA, we decided to create it using a ton of conditions and variables. By variables here, I mean keyreps. We plan for authors to reuse entire topics and adjust the conditions and key defs as needed. To go along with this strategy, I created this little Windows app. We plan for this app to be distributed to subject matter experts. When DITA source content is loaded into the app, it provides a content preview. Users can edit bookmap metadata and select which conditions to show or hide. Also, variables are highlighted in the preview window, and users can edit them in text boxes provided on the left side of the form. When the user saves their work, the bookmap metadata, map keyreps, and DITA-val conditions are all saved out to a set of files. The subject matter experts provide the files to authors, and although the authors may need to make some minimal changes, for the most part, what we get back is the final guide. This app is currently only a proof of concept, but I'll give you a quick preview of what it does so far. Here is some source content. For now, the app only supports a bookmap with one map. Here you could see the bookmap, source content, a DITA-val, a map with a bunch of keyreps, and for now, just one topic as a sample. And this is the topic. lots of props in here. So in DITA form, I will load my source map, the book map, and then I will also select my DITA-based file. And then I will save, copy my book map and my DITA-based. I can now edit the book map metadata. For example, let's put Acme product 12345. It's May 2022, and this is my first revision. I could select which conditions I want. I'll just grab these first two, although there are a lot more. And then I'll enter some variable info. For here, I'll put 60 degrees, and my model number is 543. I will save. And then after I save, I could show you the edits. So here are the metadata that I entered. And the conditions I selected are include. And in the book map, in the map, the model number I entered and the operating temperature that I entered. So these are the files that I would get back from the subject matter expert. The only thing that I might need to do is to fix the path. For example, something like this, to where it actually lives in AEM. Well, however, I plan to automate this in the future, but for now it's a manual find and replace. So once you make the small little change, you're pretty much done and ready to upload to AEM. One feature that I'm working on is an option to download the source files from a URL, maybe a SharePoint folder. This would ensure that subject matter experts always have access to the latest DITA content. And that's very important for making sure that subject matter experts only have one source of truth for the content. And I know at least one person is probably thinking, can't you download the source files directly from AEM? I'm honestly not sure if that's possible or not because of permission issues, but it would be pretty cool. Maybe it'll be available in DITA form version 2.
Thanks, Michelle. Those are two very interesting projects, and I'm excited to see how they continue to evolve in the future. I think the regulatory guide app is especially interesting and will save writers a lot of time. So this has basically been our journey through DITA, what we've done, and where we're looking to go. If we had to do it over again, there are some things we would do differently, I think, and things we would repeat. I think one thing that we would change is to have a content strategy that would restructure our documentation into smaller, more discrete chunks as we converted it. While our conversion was very effective from taking unstructured content and converting it to DITA, it did not fundamentally change the structure of the information for the customer. HTML is certainly more user-friendly for mobile devices, but a multi-chapter HTML document is not likely the most friendly chunk of content. I think also to keep the faith. Our journey has certainly had its share of bumps. We're the first group of AEM users who rely on versioning and translation of assets. Much of this is new to our support staff, so we've taken the time to train them now on what we do in AEM guides. One thing that we have done well is keep our stakeholders involved. We meet on a weekly basis with our key stakeholders, and the information sharing has been invaluable. We have advanced warning of support site changes and upcoming code deployments. In addition, our core implementation team meets weekly to discuss ongoing developments and to adjust priorities.
We want to thank you for watching, and we hope that you enjoyed our presentation. After the Q&A session, if you have any more questions or comments, please feel free to contact us through email or on LinkedIn.
Thank you.